Hi, I'm Mike Davis, owner of Extra Mile Technology Services, and today we're talking about passwords. What's the big deal? Well, most of the hacks that are going on now that are getting into companies and breaching security are not problems with the firewall or antivirus or those types of things that we typically think about. It's because of bad passwords or passwords that get hacked on one site that then get reused on other sites, and the hackers just try them on every other site out there until they find one where they get in. So basically, if you have a weak password on one site and that gets cracked, they've got the keys to the kingdom. They can get anywhere. They can get anywhere. And if you have a weak password, it doesn't matter if you spend thousands of dollars on a firewall or any of that stuff. All of that goes right out the window. So, how do hackers get your password? Well, there's a few different ways. They can ask for it, they can guess it, or they can find it somewhere. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, I would never give my password to somebody if they asked for it. Okay, but what if a web page popped up that said that the first 1,000 people to register get a free iPad or something like that? Or maybe it was something more believable than that, right? And all you got to do to register is come up with a username, put your email address in, and then create a password. All right. Now, what's going on there is they're counting on you using the password that you use on every other site on their site. And then once they have your password, they'll try it on Amazon, eBay, PayPal, and see where they get in. Now, how do they guess it? Well, this happened to a friend of mine some years ago. Had pictures of a cat all over Facebook. Cat's name was Snowball. It was no surprise that they were able to get into her Yahoo account with a password Snowball. Okay? And they've gotten automated in their attacks on this too. So the really obvious ones, like the name of the pet and stuff, they know that a lot of websites won't allow such a simple password, and it'll try to make you add some numbers on there. So they'll gather up as much information that they can about you, kids' names, kids' birth dates, whatever, and then they'll try popping in those things to an automated password generator, and it'll come up with all the possible combinations of the text strings they just entered, and then they'll try those on common websites. How do they find it? Well, you're probably thinking, yeah, the obvious one, post-it notes on the monitor, right? Or post-it note under the keyboard, because no one would ever look there, right? Well, yeah. And now with the work from home stuff, that's a consideration that companies used to be able to take a stroll around the office and make sure nobody wasn't doing anything like that. But in the work from home environment, there's people that are flipping their webcams on and then turning it around to follow the cat as it walks across their desk. And, um, people can freeze frame that video. And if you've got your password plastered on your monitor, then there you go. But most of the time nowadays, passwords are getting hacked on one website or another, and then they're getting resold on the dark web, and that's where hackers are getting passwords that they try to use. So, speaking of the dark web, if you want to try to see if any of your credentials are out there, or if your passwords have been used in a from a site that's been compromised, you can go to haveibeenpwned.com, put in your email address, and it'll search the dark web for any password dumps that have your email address on it, and then it'll show you if the password's already been cracked and it's sitting out there in plain text, or sometimes what the hackers will do is paste the hash on there, which is the encrypted, if you will, form of your password. And then, of course, there's other guys that'll try to break that encryption to see what your plain text password is. Now, once they've got your password, then there's a bunch of different things they can do. Starting a couple years ago, we started seeing this attack, which created a new term, a sextortion was this one. And basically, they write an email saying, hey, I know your password is this, and I got it when I hacked your computer, and I've got a compromising video of you, and if you don't pay me money, I'm going to release that video to all of your contacts, which I happen to have because I hacked your computer. What they're doing there is leveraging a little bit of information, the fact that they cracked one of your passwords, and they're counting on you having only that password, and then believing the rest of what they say, about the videos and all that kind of stuff. You can just delete and ignore emails like that, unless you actually have used that password on a site and you haven't changed it yet. You're going to want to go and change that as soon as you can. Now, whenever I'm talking to a large group of people about passwords, there's always one person that'll say, oh, I don't care if someone gets my password and gets into my email. I don't have anything to hide, or I don't care if they read my email. And it's like, all right, okay, maybe that's true. Maybe you don't have anything embarrassing or compromising or whatever in your email. Okay, but what if they were to pretend they were you? What if they went and sent an email out to all of your contacts saying that you were out of the country and you needed money for a hotel and airfare to get back, and you'd pay them back as soon as you got there? Do you have any older friends in your contact list that might fall for something like that? If they do send $2,000 via Western Union that can't ever be recovered, who owes who $2,000? You because they got into your account, or them because they fell for it? That's a tricky one. But these are the attacks that we're seeing. And, there's other things that it can go on from there. They could get into your Amazon account, let's say. And this happened to a friend of mine. They got into his email, but they didn't change his password in his email, so he was still able to get into his email. But then they went to Amazon by resetting his password in Amazon and locked him out of his Amazon account. Once they were into his Amazon account, they immediately signed up for an Amazon Gold Card and put in a new address, and then had all the stuff shipped to that new address. And he didn't know about it because he couldn't get into his Amazon account, A, and when he tried to reset his password on his Amazon account, they had gone into his webmail and set up a rule that any emails coming in from Amazon would automatically get deleted. So when he called Amazon to reset his password, they say, sorry, sir, we don't do password resets over the phone. We'll do it over email, and you'll get an email with instructions on how to reset your password. And of course, he did that over and over, and he kept checking his Outlook and nothing. Finally called me, and I checked his webmail and found that rule, deleted the rule, and then we were able to get into Amazon and see what had happened there and all that. And he had a bit more work to do with Amazon to clean up that mess. But, like I said, once they get into your email, they're probably not reading your email. They're probably going to go and pretend they're you and start doing stuff like this. So, common password mistake. You pick a password and you make it a really good one, and then you use it on every site because it's a really good password. Well, maybe it is, but if it happens to get cracked on one website, then, like I said, they can go ripping through to every other website and start trying it there to see where they can get in. So a few more mistakes. Don't ever send your password over email, all right? And if you've ever sent a help desk ticket to Extra Mile asking us to reset your password to one thing or another, you may have noticed we never just reply with your password. We always call. We call the main number of the company. We most of the time we know your voice, so we verify that it's really you, and then we give you a new password. Or we'll take control of your computer, which we can verify that you're logged into it, and then reset the password, or whatever app or something needs a password. But we won't just reply to an email, which, by the way, goes across the internet in plain text. So never a good idea to send passwords via email. Also, don't put your password into computers that you don't own, okay? That computer in the hotel lobby, even if the hotel is totally on the up and up, if some attacker, and let's face it, he's not going to look like an attacker. It's probably going to be some 14-year-old kid that happened to buy one of those little keystroke loggers off of eBay for $10. He's going to plug that thing into the USB port there and then plug the keyboard into that. And there'll be no software running on the computer. So even if they have the best antivirus software and everything on it, it won't be able to detect that there's a keystroke logger in between the keyboard and the computer. And they're so tiny you wouldn't notice it yourself unless you looked really carefully. And then it'll show up a week or two later. 2 seconds, reach his hand back, unplug the keystroke logger, and now he's got whatever was typed in on that computer. All right, including your password and your email address and whatever you used to log in. So, just don't put passwords into computers you don't own, and don't give your passwords out to other people or share them or anything like that. There's much better ways of doing things, and if somebody's asking you to do that, you really ought to question the security of that application. Okay, and keep your passwords safe. One of the password strategies, touch on in a second, is to put them in an address book. If that's your plan, then keep that secure. Okay. The next thing that we got to talk about is 2FA, or two-factor authentication. All right, and what two-factor means, real simple, is it's two factors. One factor is something that you know, and the other factor is something that you have. Most commonly nowadays, that's something you know is going to be a password, and the something that you have is going to be your cell phone. There's a few different authenticator apps that are really popular right now, and they all run on your cell phone. And you go to log in somewhere, you type in something you know, which is your password, and then it prompts up and it says, please type in the code from the cell phone app, and you do that, and then you're in. And that is a fantastic way to keep hackers off of your accounts, even if they happen to grab your password from somewhere. All right, because if they go to log in with your username and your password, they're going to hit that prompt where it wants the code from your phone, and since they don't have your phone, they're not going to be able to get in. Now, some programs allow you to have the code texted to your phone, and that is certainly better than not having any form of two-factor authentication out there. But there have been some celebrities and other really high-profile targets that have had their cell phone number cloned, and then when the attacker asks for the code to be texted to them, it goes to the cloned phone as well, and they're able to get in that way. But you're probably going to know that something's going on, because you're going to get texted a code when you weren't trying to log in. So that should be your first clue that something's up, and you're going to want to change your password straight away. So if you're creating a different password that's strong, has uppercase, lowercase, letters, numbers, special characters, and at least 8 characters long, if you're creating good, strong passwords like that, they're unique. How can you keep track of them all? Okay, well, there's 2 ways. The first way, I mentioned a second ago, the old-fashioned address book. All right, that's great, especially for older people that just have the single computer at home, and the password book can be out of sight in a drawer somewhere. Their kids can come over and help them with their computer, and if they need to change a password, they just write the new password in the book, And that's a good way of managing it for them. Most of us, though, in the business world are going to have to use a password manager because we need to be able to get into websites and accounts on our computer at work, our computer at home, our cell phone. And these password managers do a really good job of allowing you to use them on all those devices. Okay, so you can type them all in on your computer, but you can install the app on your cell phone, log into the app on your cell phone, and then if you try to go to one of those sites there, it'll feed in your credentials. And for some sites that don't work with that, you can just go and copy and paste from the password manager app into the application on your phone. And that'll work really well. Now, there's some strengths and weaknesses to each one of these. I would suggest that just start at the top with LastPass.com. It works really well on a bunch of different platforms. It's free for individuals. They make their money charging like $5 a month for business accounts if you need the ability to share passwords with coworkers or that kind of thing. It works really well. RoboForm, if you're in a spot where you need to share passwords with different groups of people in the office, like an accounting group and then a front office group, RoboForm does a good job of that. And then Keeper Security, that one works well if you have applications that require two-factor codes and you've got a team of people that need to be able to get into that account, but it needs to be able to keep track of the two-factor codes too. Keeper will allow that. So that's my recommendation for password managers. So in summary, use unique passwords for every site. The good password managers will even help you by saying, oh, we noticed you're using the same password on more than one site. Do you want us to help you change it on that site? Be really careful where you type your passwords in. And if a website allows it and two-factor is available, use it. Thanks from Extra Mile Technology Services. Have a great day.